ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track. And ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
There's a lot of stories coming out of Washington, D.C., and we are going to delve into them with Brian Kilmeade momentarily. We may be on the verge of a government shutdown, but first, Joe in the Queens has been holding. Hi, Joe.
Yeah, Frank, two things on that. One is Libby Custer, her husband died, General Custer, when he was 36, and she held the torch for him, promoting his legacy into the 1930s, and she was wealthy. But my neighbor, married 50-plus years, her husband died a few years ago. She seems fine, but she had been basically a flight attendant and went back into her 40s. So I think, like, that fact that she had a lot of international exposure and that type of life experience helped her.
I like that. Well, I mean, that could be good advice to other similarly situated couples. Thank you, Joe. Let me welcome New York Times bestselling author, historian, nationally syndicated radio talk show host, and the co-anchor of Fox and Friends, the one and only Brian Kilmeade. Brian, what's good?
Well, just keep in mind, I haven't forgot about our Christmas lunch where Brian Kilmeade goes to a location, secluded, with WABC top brass and important personalities. We just pushed, instead of trying to jam it in December, we're going for January.
Yeah, well, I think that's actually a very smart strategy because, you know, and I was actually going to ask you about this because you are the busiest guy I know. You're at everything. I honestly think you may be doing one of those Saddam Hussein things where he used to have all these doubles appear at different things. So I don't know. First of all, you're on the air, I think 6 hours a day just on your own shows. That doesn't even include shows like this that you're doing, filling in for other people. It's almost superhuman. And then presumably you have some time to sleep. You're in great shape, so presumably you're working out. Presumably you're taking some time to at least know what's in the news. And you're at everything. And I wondered about this this week because this week I have had something, except 2 nights ago, I've had something to be at every single day. And it's very frustrating for my wife, Rachel, and I don't blame her because she's got to, essentially be running our household, and doing all the things in child rearing just by herself. How did you manage that on a personal level, if I can ask about that?
Well, I mean, number one, thank you. This was one of those weekends where me and my son go to one Giant game every year since he was 3, and now he's 27. So we picked the Ravens game, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be great if they were in contention then? Because we knew the Ravens would be in contention. Man, that dream died quickly. But I also got invited to the Army-Navy game. And I also had something historical to do at the Hermitage in Nashville. So it has been a crazy 3 days. So I went Army-Navy, drove it, and then the Giant game, drove it, then flew to Nashville Monday. And that's the day I missed this week. But it was it was a pretty cool reason. But it's easy. The kids are older. Your kids are younger. But, a lot of pressure on my wife getting everything ready because we do Christmas Eve. But without a book out this year, it actually is easier this year because with a book out, like, you just got to do stuff. I mean, you just got to sit on the radio sometimes for an hour doing different hits across the country, and then you book signing, you got to promote the book signing. So this fall has actually been a little bit easier.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you would become...
This winter, I should say.
I didn't realize you'd become such a slacker and not even put a new book out this year. That's a little embarrassing for both of us. All right.
And for my family.
All right. A couple things. One, I want to ask you about that Army-Navy game if there's time, but it's looking like we might be on the verge of another government shutdown. A lot of Republicans, and I'm sure at least a couple of Democrats, not happy with the CR. They're calling it a a cramnibus because everything in the kitchen sink is in there. More and more Republicans are saying they're not going to vote for this, and you only need to lose a few, and the whole thing goes down. Tell me what you see happening on both a political level and a governmental one.
Well, number one, we had Speaker Johnson on, and he said, look, this is the best I can get. I have one half of one chamber in the, for 2 more weeks. In 2024, 2025, things are going to change. So in order to get us to March, where we can really restructure this, here past this. So he was on with us in the morning, and there didn't seem to be. There was 1,500 pages. I didn't get the 1,500 pages. I got the summary. And I looked at it, I go, compared to other years, it's really not that much, Christmas tree ornament things. It's not one of those omnibus things. It's continuing resolution just to get us to March. So there is a slight pay raise, but they haven't had a pay raise since 2009. So I'm not really against a slight pay raise. Little things I did miss was they are now allowed to get off Obamacare. Don't jam it down America's throats and then you get off it. And especially when you put it in everybody's face that it's so great. So that's not cool. But what I don't understand is these guys been all together for the last 2 weeks. Elon Musk and Speaker Johnson were together at the football game. So was President Trump. They were
right.
together.
You'd think this would come up
over this.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and they are in a text chain together, and they had these meetings on Capitol Hill, and all you have to do is just say, look, I just got to tell you the way it works here is X, Y, and Z. This is all the power I have. This is what I'd love to do. This is what I can do. So they come up with an agreement. And one thing that President Trump, he's experienced now, brought up, and I'm just catching up to it now. He says, don't stick me with the debt ceiling in June because they're going to hang me on the debt ceiling in June. Fix it now because I'm going to be in the middle of my agenda, rounding up people, getting financing for the border, and then you're going to have debt ceiling, and Democrats going to go, unless you reverse all that, I'm not going to sign off on the debt ceiling. And who knows what other Republican, you can only lose, 3 Republicans in the House. So President Trump waited on that, and during our interview with Speaker Johnson, we get word that Elon Musk says, kill it. So I think President Trump and Elon Musk got to get on the same page. But if you read Musk's book, this is the way he operates. This is what he does in business with his own company. In 2008, he almost lost SpaceX and Tesla at the same time, and he was still on the manufacturing floor trying to find bolts and way to speed up robots and get extra people in and firing executives. So He loves living on the brink. I just don't know if he understands the way the government works, that you can't do it like Tesla. There is going to be an Hakeem Jeffries to say, I still have the ball here. And you lost 7 Republicans, and you can't convince them to vote, so you need me. So I'm not sure that Elon knows that because he's had a public company before, and it blew up. PayPal blew up. He's had problems before, he's done about bringing his company private on Twitter, and that blew up because there are other shareholders. So I just hope they know what they're doing. That's what I hope. I hope that the brinksmanship produces something.
Do you think we will see a government shutdown?
I don't think so. I mean, I that means they got to stay through Christmas. Because you don't just shut down the government and go home and do your grab bag.
Right, I wouldn't think so.
How many people want to do it through Christmas? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that Democrats have the thought. It's no election year. Are the Democrats saying we have a chance now? Really? Because Trump's going to go, I'm going to fix this when I get in January 20th. So it's not my baseball card, the back of my baseball card. It's back of yours. So I'm not sure that there's not an answer here.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan and Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan and Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
Id Software presents Doom, The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, streaming now only on Netflix.
We off? 30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes.
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree.
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet.
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
You mentioned Speaker Johnson. There's a lot of concern about what was negotiated as part of this CR. And obviously the margins being as narrow as they are, it's almost like you only need 3 Republicans to throw the whole chamber into chaos, as we've seen before. Do you think that there's a possibility that the displeasure with Speaker Johnson over this CR could result in a challenge to his leadership?
Frank, I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, if that's what people are saying, so it's a good question. But you're going to get rid of Johnson, who's roughly doing the same thing with he's got less experience than McCarthy, but he's getting it. Understand what's possible. You're going to get rid of this guy? You think that Johnson's the problem? You think Kevin McCarthy's the problem? Tom Massey, who loves to go out there and just say, I'm an engineer and that's not the way things work and I'm not going to spend. Well, you go in there. You understand it. You could go in there and, I understand he's a brilliant guy. But again, yesterday he answers your question. I'm not voting for Johnson for Speaker again. All right. Well, who are you voting for? You think that Jim Jordan is going to do a better job? It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what you can negotiate. It doesn't matter really what you stand for. You got to do what's possible. And maybe they could be more transparent about the negotiations. Maybe I'll give them that. You could say, listen, this is what I want. This is what I'm getting. I got 3 days to get this done. This is what I'm getting. This is what I want to do. But I got 2 days to get this done. Maybe there's stuff to do in that respect, communicate better until I get a 1,500-page bill and 72 hours to look at it. But it's dead now. So it's dead. So rotating Speaker Johnson out is not the answer. Nobody wants it. You going to give me Steve Scalise's in there? The guy is second in charge. He's bouncing back off cancer after being shot 4 years ago or 5 years ago. I don't think he can do it. You could try to do the votes, but Jim Jordan doesn't have the votes. We just went through this. So this is what we're going to be talking about. You're talking about it in your show. I'll be talking about it on my show today. I have no patience for it. You just don't rotate out the captain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. On the other side of the Capitol, the Senate is in the midst of holding all these meetings with these Trump nominees. The 3 that get mentioned as possibly having a problem most often are Pete Hegseth, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard. We've spent a lot of time the last couple of weeks talking about your former colleague, Pete Hegseth. Give me your take on where RFK and Tulsi land. It seemed like there was a cascade of negative news stories, all one after the other, describing how poorly Tulsi was doing in these meetings with senators, which, and I don't really know her except having had her on the show a couple times. But that struck me as really surprising and kind of the byproduct of people that may not agree with her or don't want her in this job planting those negative news stories. What are you hearing from your sources on the Senate side of things about those 2 picks specifically, Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy Jr.?
Well, I hear RFK, and you saw Gillibrand came out, and she said, listen, I'm looking forward to talking to him. So somebody else is mature enough then as Senator Fetterman to say, my job is to listen to people. So Senator Gillibrand sounded very positive. Senator Kennedy had some questions, but evidently RFK has been wowing people with his knowledge and clarifying what he believes, what he said in the past, and making it clear. I'm not the president. I'm going to do what President Trump wants me to do. But here's what I think about food. Here's what I say about vaccines. Polio works, but can we just look at what's in this? Don't you feel as though the rise in autism, if we could maybe take a fresh look and do a fresh study on any linkage to vaccines? Because I've talked to parents, you've talked to parents. There's a lot of them are still convinced to this day that vaccines are the ones that to put their kid into autistic lifestyle in 2.5 years. They were fine, and one day they woke up right after this, and they believe there's a linkage there. He's open to that. But he's not saying ban polio. But have we added things? And I don't know the answer to this, but people do. Have we added things to the vaccines to preserve them that may be toxic to certain people with certain DNA? Is it worth looking at? He's going to look at that. And that's what I think he's going out of his way to say. I am looking at a lot of this stuff with fresh eyes. Now, you got vaccines and you got food. There is almost no pushback on food. People listening to us right now are obsessed with eating better, especially if their parents are like, am I thinking I'm doing a good job giving my kid cereal? And then I find out that, all these chemicals are in there. I mean, we saw that report last week. We're going to remove food dyes from cereal. Excuse me? Why would that be? Casey and Callie Means, perhaps? Mm-hmm. RFK Jr., perhaps? Dr. Macari wrote a book about it. Now, all of a sudden, it's out. So I think that he's been going out of his way to say, I'm going to do what's best for the country. I'm not President Robert F. Kennedy Jr. when it comes to abortion, but I'm not anti-vaccine. But I'm going to make sure that these kids don't get more than they need. Which a lot of people, when you go in there, you go, really? They need all these shots? When they're 6 months old. Do I have any say in it? And a lot of them get yelled at by their doctors. If you don't do this, you could find another doctor. I've heard that countless times. Well, now you got somebody at the top saying, slow down. We're going to evaluate all of it. We're not going to get rid of any of it, but we're going to talk you through it. So I think he is doing very well. Tulsi told me on Saturday, which is one of the reasons I went to the game, and to be able to talk to the president-elect, and Tulsi and Pete Hegseth and Mark Levin and Governor DeSantis, everybody. I said, I got to go. So I hopped in the car just to talk to him one-on-one. And Tulsi, the first thing she says is, don't believe what you read. It's going extremely well. Now, what she's got to answer is the Syria thing, and she can answer it. I got invited to go talk to him. I want to go talk to him. I don't mind talking to our enemies. Doesn't mean I signed off on his death and destruction. But, she's for 20 years, she's getting in uniform. She's fighting wars. Then she represents Hawaii. And then she gets to get a chance to find out and meet with the guy that, with some believe to this day, that has Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction. So he goes, I'm going to go talk to him. So if she says things, and if some comes on an FBI background check that I don't think is I don't think it's going to be an issue, but if it happens, she'll deal with it. Just get her to the hearing. All I'm saying is, this is going to be so great to see them defend themselves in front of everyone. Just get her to the hearing. No one's going to get knocked out like Matt Gaetz before the hearing. And it looks like January 14th is Pete's date.
So we're almost out of time, but I have to ask you about this. You mentioned Matt Gaetz. The House Ethics Committee has apparently voted in secret to release the report on its investigation into Congressman Gaetz, and apparently this is going to be released in the coming days. You think this is the right move?
Yeah, I'm just I don't know. I don't think about him much. I think he's been very detrimental. I think he's been self-serving as a lawmaker. You're doing that. Just don't go out of your way to target him. But, I don't know. It seems to me it might be a slippery slope. The guy's out of Congress and you're releasing ethics investigations.
Right.
But he did run for re-election, get re-elected. So maybe he didn't care, wants it out. So I don't think it doesn't even matter. I think it's coming out. As soon as they sign the CR, that's coming out.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where we go from here. Brian Kilmeade, catch him on Fox and Friends and absolutely on radio. It's going to be an interesting radio program with Congressman Tony Gonzalez, Senator John Cornyn, Catherine Boyle, and more. Brian, it's always a treat to talk with you. Enjoy the weekend. I'm guessing we're not going to speak next week, so I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, back at you and all the listeners, and keep in mind, One Nation, Saturday night, 9 o'clock. We have a great show queued up. I think you guys are going to love it.
I look forward to that as well. Brian Kilmeade.